So why don't we start with a little bit of introduction about yourself? Maybe where you are, what you're doing, and your
Okay.
interests.
So I'm Sreelakshmi. So I did my BSMS in ICE at Trivandrum. And right now I'm doing my PhD in Valerie Bob's team in the Institut Curie Paris. So I work on the chromosome dynamics and recombination lab at here, and mainly my work revolves around DNA synthesis and monitoring the polymerases involved in things. So basically, I'm just continuing whatever I did for my master's. So it's kind of good for me in this sense because I was not like thrown to a new thing. So
I mean, obviously, everything under the sky today has been affected by pandemic in one way or the other. And now, specifically, when we're talking to a research student, it really matters because a lot of research students puts in a lot of effort into doing some sort of research or completing a project. And under that, there are a couple of students who wants to continue doing work because they can't suddenly take a break. And because of this pandemic, they had to, with no other choice left. So, to you specifically, how your research back there has affected, in what ways, and how did you manage?
yeah. So for us, I think in March is when we went to lockdown, and we kind of knew that it was coming. So all of us were like kind of finishing whatever we were doing and didn't start any big experiments or didn't order expensive stuff so that nothing went to waste. So we were really clear that we were going into a lockdown, and there were like regular meetings done as to how we are going to plan. So it was like a properly scheduled thing the whole of my lockdown, except that I wasn't doing it properly, but I had a schedule. Like we had weekly lab meetings, we had weekly journal clubs. So every Monday and Thursday, the labs were meeting formally. And even otherwise, we were like in touch otherwise as to check each other as well. I'm completely into wet lab, so there's nothing that I could have done from home. And I have no basics in bioinformatics as such. So I tried learning, but that wasn't happening. So there was nothing about my project I was able to do other than read about it. So, and also like my prof was really understanding. So she wasn't like pushing us to like be extra productive. She would ask, what did you do this week? And if you just reply that I read, she was okay. She didn't even ask what you read. So that way it was very nice.
That's nice. And how did the institute manage with all this, the pandemic? And
I think
I'm
like
sure
as I said, they were very well prepared. Like they immediately gave us the Microsoft Teams account as to stay in touch, created groups and that too like different groups. Like we had a Teams for our lab, then for our unit which is like 6 labs together, and there was like only for PhDs and postdocs where you could like chat informally and have like there's these things called Happy Friday here, so we just meet at 7 p.m. on every Fridays and chat. So that happened in the lockdown also.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So the institute made sure that we had all the facilities like that in that sense.
What about the food and accommodation and all? Because I'm sure it's.
So you in Europe, you're not really considered a student, so they want you to take care of all that on yourself. So like I had a room, and I was well. As I said, like everybody knew the lockdown was coming, so even I stuffed up on like.
Did you also start experimenting on food, or were you a well-prepared cook by then?
I knew cooking.
Oh, that's good.
I
That's
think
very fortunate.
I became lazier during the lockdown. Like
Oh.
I started instant noodles in the lockdown and not before that.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Okay. So, how, in a broader perspective of research in general, so how do you think this pandemic might have an impact? For instance, let's consider ecological research. People can't go outside like they used to do some sort of research now because there are a lot of restrictions. Likewise, do you see any general impact on research in a broader perspective?
Yes, obviously, yes. And again, like as you said, it affects different fields in a different way. And for people who had to actually do human social interactions for their PhD project, it is like they have literally stopped doing it. So there's no alternative. Like if you have to go to a field and interact with the people for your work, and if the pandemic is not allowing, it is not happening. So, and if if they don't have an alternative, it means that it has come to a halt for them. And so it applies to, as you said, as for ecology, it applies to a lot of other places as well. And I guess, I really don't know what the solution is or anything. Like, unless they find an alternative, it's stopped. I don't know. Like, they can't do anything else. Like, for us, like, third years, like, in US, it's a 3-year thing, the PhDs. So, for the final years, it was a bit so ideally, they have to defend in September. So, they start writing, and all the thesis work happens in March. So for all of them, it suddenly stopped, and they're not meeting anyone. So ideally, like, you write a thesis, you go to your supervisor, you go to your thesis committee members, you ask for them, you sit with them and you read it and you present, and things like that happens. And that too, right now, thesis defenses are happening over Zoom. But people who, like, then they know how this was to be done. And you can imagine, like, after the 3-year big thing, and finally you're about to end, and then things stop. I think again, it's the uncertainty as to when it will be resolved. That's also an issue. We all know what there is a problem, but now we don't know how or when it will be solved also. So I think that's also a bit of a problem here. But obviously, like, research as such is affected. But I would say that for me, or for all the PhD students, we are at least getting paid. There are people who have lost their jobs. Like, even in science, the people who were hired, like freelance bioinformaticians or things like that, they have lost their jobs. So I think science PhD students as such are in a better place economically. I'm really calculating my words I'm saying, because I don't know if it's fair. But but I think it is still better.
Yeah. Now let's talk about how this pandemic is going to affect the new PhD aspirants. So there are a lot of people, specifically from India, who are aspiring to do their PhDs abroad, specifically Germany, UK, or America. And currently, situations back there are as worse as what's here in India. And traveling all the way there and then getting adjusted to that place normally itself is a big deal. But right now, with the pandemic coupled with it, it's going to be really hard. And also, another thing is, I've heard about a lot of universities reducing the number of PhD occupants they're going to be having. So, how do you think this whole situation is going to make a difference with respect to how people want to do their PhDs abroad?
Yes, it's a good question, because even like the people from ISA, when they text me like about stuff like this, I really don't know, because things like the PhD processes here are taking place in all normalcy. Like, they are taking students to Europe, because there's no Europe travel ban, so they are taking students from Germany and France, and they are like being normal. So the only people who are affected are the people who can't travel, who can't come till here. But then I know some of our people who have gotten positions who are getting ready for all the stuff, but obviously it's being delayed for them, like every step. And then again, your profs need to be kind enough to, like, it's not them, it's their responsibility, but sometimes it gets annoying for them, I think, because they have to take an extra pain to do all the processes which they would have otherwise done using a secretary or anything, but now they have to put in more efforts. So I guess it's I don't think, as far as I know, I don't think the number of students that are being taken in are reduced, but I think they are preferring more easier choices. Like, if suppose in France, they are preferring students from France itself. Like, international relations right now is not that good. So they are thinking that it's better they take people from their own place. I don't know. But yeah, I think the visa consulates are being opened right now. So people are going to start coming.
So are there any suggestions you would like to suggest students who are planning on applying abroad? Specifically Indian students, like any precautions you would want them to take before they, specific to this pandemic situation. I mean, let's hope that this entire situation is going to change. I mean, even if we get a vaccine by any chance, I don't think so. Getting back to what we were is an ideal thing to do, or is something that could happen. So considering there are a lot of changes that's happening, so anything specific that you feel like my junior should be doing?
I I think like from what I've seen, like since we are also talking over Zoom, technology is improving a
Yeah,
lot.
I mean, there are a lot of people, not me, but I'm sure will be a couple of people who afraid of applying abroad right now, and considering the whole
Hmm.
situation. If not them by themselves, at least their parents wouldn't appreciate them, going abroad in this situation. So, do you think, um, what would be your comment on that? Do you support the parents, or do you encourage them to, like, it's okay, you can try, or what do you think? And I mean, obviously, we're just suggesting. You're not asking
Yeah,
them
yeah,
to do
yeah.
anything. So,
Yeah. I honestly think that science abroad would find a better way to cope with this,
hmm.
whatever it is. So I think even like it's just been like what, a year? Oh wow, it's been 10 months since the
Almost, yeah.
whole, and now things are not being normal, but we have a new normal at least.
Hmm.
I guess like they would figure out a way of how to bring back things to like at least so that people can do science in some way or
Correct.
the other. And I don't think people need to compromise their aspirations to go abroad and go do a PhD just because of this. But I know it's difficult, but I have hope that things would be better and at least they would make things at least like copable, things that could be done. But I really don't think that not applying abroad due to a pandemic or so. I don't know. I really don't know.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. I mean, it's totally unpredictable right now. Anything you
Yeah,
think of
it's
is not going to happen.
yeah. Like even
Um,
here, like up to last week, it was okay. Like it was not okay. The numbers were not okay, but people were okay. But now we have a curfew. So yeah. So right now, so one of our juniors is coming to Paris, and I was in the notion that I'm going to pick her up at the airport. But now I told her like, please book a flight before 9 p.m. or else I can't come. So like, in a week things are changing. So I really can't predict what's going to happen.
that's true. I mean, following that, in general, are there any suggestions you would like to give to your juniors on applying abroad in general?
Don't make applying abroad the priority,
Hmm.
the lab your priority, and make what you want to do your priority.
That's a
Like,
very good suggestion. Yeah.
yeah, because I mean, it happened to me. That's why I'm saying, because after fourth year, we see all our seniors posting pictures and we are seeing them.
Yeah.
Oh, they're going there, they're going here. So let's not. But what we are missing is that they're doing research alongside and they're doing all this on weekends and posting it on Instagram. So just remember that it's going to be your life afterwards for 3 or 4 or 5 years, and it's not only about. I mean, sure, like you can have more fun.
Hmm.
I think like from what very little research experience I have in India, things are better here. Like obviously they have more money, more infrastructure, more equipments, more labs and everything. So
Hmm.
things are better, at least in my place or in my institute. But don't make applying abroad your priority. Like make your science your priority, like what you want to do, what you really want to do. If there is a very good lab in India that supports your research, I would
And
say
yeah.
for that.
That's true.
Yeah.
I mean, often we are masked by this beautiful images
Yes.
our seniors put on Instagram, and I like, okay, I want to go
Yes.
there. So that's
I
really
totally
important.
understand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Another thing I want to talk about is mental health. Right now,
Hmm.
if there's something we have realized more or understood more or are taking more consideration about, then that's mental health. At least in India, it's been for a long time we have underestimated or like we have ignored mental health, and it has been a taboo for a long time, even now. But
Yes.
right now, situations have changed, and since a lot of people went through a very unpredictable, uncertain situation, they've experienced it firsthand. They've come to realize it by themselves. Yeah. So, how is it for a research? I mean, obviously, research doing a PhD is really taxing on the student. There's a lot of things you'll have to take into consideration, and a lot of hard work. And with all this happening, there's this pressure on you. I mean, with the pandemic, for instance, there were people who were asked to stop their work temporarily for some time, and it's not going to be easy for some people to do that, because some people had to continue their work. They can't stop it in between because they'll have to start from the beginning. So, was there anything of that sort you experienced, be it being away from parents or being in isolation all alone in a different country and
Yeah.
about the research.
Yeah. So I would say that, so one thing that this is connected to the previous question, people really won't, because we all stay with our parents till eternity. So these people don't understand that. So when we say, when a 23-year-old come and say to them that, oh, I'm very homesick, it is not a high probability that they would understand what we are saying.
Yeah.
And we should also think that we are coming for the first time abroad, so we have to settle ourselves, like we have to find a place, we have to cook, like it's upon us to survive on every aspect, like from starting from food to our research.
That's true.
So it's obviously taxing, and for me personally, I have anxiety issues, like proper anxiety issues, and I am seeking help. So I think for me, the lockdown didn't make it worse. I don't know why. I think lockdown kind of gave me time for myself, which I wanted. And I don't know. It is a very personal thing because I know people who were affected, like had more troubles during the lockdown. But for me, it didn't work like that because I'm thankful that I had my friends and I had my people who were understanding, my lab, my friends, everybody. But I think the pandemic as such, the whole thing of uncertainty is a bit of a problem. Like, I still don't know if the experiments that I'm doing are going to be continued. One, I still don't know when I'm going home. And so the whole thing of an uncertainty sometimes creeps in and I get like anxiety attacks. But um, I think people here understand better, obviously, than like when I mail my prof that I don't think I'm coming today, I had a panic attack. She says, okay, that's all. I mean, that's all I also need. So I think things are better here for me now, such, and I have people around. I have like new people and old people. I have like people from ICER around. I have people that I met here. So in a way, I was in a comfort zone, kind of. So I think that helped, but I don't think that I should be sitting here and saying that pandemic didn't affect my mental health because it would be very unfair to say something like that. Honestly, to me, nobody said that PhD was tough. At least to people, like when I was writing my CVs and SOPs and I was sending to all the people in Europe to correct it, they never said to me that once you get in, you're actually starting to do a PhD. So you're aware of that. Nobody said to me. So I was yeah, oh wow, I'm going. So I was more excited to see the place. So I came here, and then maybe I'm totally happy with the work that I'm doing, and I'm fortunate in that I landed in a good space also. But if you're not sure as to what you want to do, and you're coming here for Instagram pictures, maybe not. I mean, there's no guarantee that you're going to land in the right place. For me, my profs, like she actually like told me that this is your project, this is what you're going to do, and even I had time to process. And then again, as I was saying, this I'm actually continuing what I did for my masters. So I didn't have the thing of like everything rushing to me and coming. So I was like taking it slow, and it was okay. But I would say that it's okay because right now I have people from ICER who are right now in their third year asking to me what I'm doing. What they would do after their PhDs.
Oh God.
I mean, and they have like and they've just got into the third year or like figuring out their majors, and they're asking, so Chichi, what are your plans after PhD? And I'm like, God, I already have enough existential crisis. Don't add to that. So I was like, it's completely okay. Like I think people around you would also understand it's okay because like right now my prof. So I mean, I don't know if you want to put it. I'm just saying it to you. Okay. So
Free will, inshallah.
yeah. So I had my thesis committee for my first year last week. So how it works here is you present your project to your committee members in front of your supervisor as well. And then after that, they have a chat with you without the prof. So that time you can either say that you're not happy in the lab environment if your prof is not helping you, or if there are other issues that you don't want in front of your supervisor, obviously. So that time, and then it happens vice versa, that you are kicked out and they talk with only your prof.
Yeah.
Asked. So in that form where the committee member has to fill, there is a specific like specific column where they are supposed to ask me what I plan to do after my PhD. So they asked me, and I was already very tensed about my committee. So I said I want to teach. I just said it like that. And then they actually take it very seriously. So they think that okay, so right now your mindset is that you want to teach. So they will help you in that. So they started telling me that you can maybe find like teaching assistant positions. You can talk to your prof about like she can find you things. And I mean, but problem is that I don't know French, so I can't go for a teaching assistant positionship here. But then they were like, you can find courses where they would require people who want to speak English, and your prof can help. And suddenly I understood that they have taken it very seriously. I just said it like I want to teach, and they have like started making plans for me. So I felt a bit nervous, and I was like, I just said it. Maybe next thesis committee I might change. And then they're like, it's okay. And that they have a dynamic form. It's not going to be framed. This is where your committee, and this you said you want to teach. And our responsibility is to help you in that. If you change, we will help you with that. So I guess that really stuck with me. Like they were okay with me changing stuff.
It's okay
The problem is that
it's okay to keep changing what you want to do.
yes,
And it also
and they
depends.
completely normalized it for me within 1 minute of time they had. Like I got a bit afraid. Like, oh my god, what if like I really want to do postdoc next year and these guys won't give me reco? Like I thought till then, and then they were like, it's okay. That's why we have a paper form. Like it's not like it's going to be recorded that oh she said that she wanted to teach after the first year, now she's changing. They were like, it's okay, we'll help you then also. I guess that should be the attitude with everybody around you. But for that, you should also like do some efforts, like and make them understand that this is not an easy field. Like even to your parents and other people, like it's not that they understand science. So for them, it is PhD after ICER. So make them understand that it is for you. Like if you come for a 5-year thing, then next is another 5-year thing. And that is going to be like your prime, like 23 to 28 years, where apparently is the normal thing time to get settled.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I mean, that's the thing. So, like, even from young age, we are asked to, keep this goal or, what do you want to become? I think it's very stupid to come up with a goal when you are like in your school. In your school, there's a lot of things you're going to experience once you graduate school or once you go to a college. There's a lot of things you learn in the process. And obviously, with every input you put in, your idea of what you want to become is going to change. And that's a good thing. Keeping it to the very end and not deciding what you want to do right now is okay, and it's the right thing to do according to me. So I think a lot of people don't realize it, including me. A lot of times I'll be thinking about where do I want to do internship next year or next summer. I'm still currently studying, so let me do what I want to do for the next couple of months and see what I'll be interested at that point in time. Obviously, you need to apply to internships a couple of months before, but that's fine. You can do it at that point of time based on what your interest is. Even with PhDs, I mean, it's totally unpredictable. Specifically at this point of time, you can't decide on doing something and expect for that thing to happen.
Exactly.
Keeping your options open is very important. That's a very good point.
And I think I would also just to like expand your skill set. I would personally say that the thing that I continued my master project for me is good, but given that I am sure that I am not going to pursue science as my career, I'm not going to be in academia. I'm in research as such, because right now I just know whatever techniques are there for yeast culture. I've not worked with any other organisms in my whole science career or whatever. But like so some like if a paper comes with a bioinformatics analysis, I am stuck. I really don't know how to read that paper. So I think in this time when there is like, I'm not saying that you have a lot of time lockdown, but at least like when you're sure, when you are given the reality check that things are not going to happen your way, expand your skill sets, like learn more things, and like as you said, try to keep it open like a bit, like not very specifically attached to one dream. And I hope things are going to get better soon, but I would still say, yeah, I think I'm digressing a lot, but
I
I
have
think.
this question which I often ask people, like not generally in interviews, even when I meet someone interesting, I think if I feel like I want to know what they think about this. So, do you think it's okay? Do you think it's better to have a complete understanding about one particular thing, or a little bit
Mhm.
understanding about a multiple things
Mm.
in general, not specific to research?
Yeah.
Okay, you can be. I mean, for time being, we can talk about research in general. Do you think you would want you would it would be better for someone to just focus on ecology, and pursue something in ecology, or do you
Mm-hmm.
want to be interdisciplinary and learn a little bit of ecology, a little bit of molecular, a little bit of genetic, a little bit of bioinformatics, and then pursue something with that?
I think 5 years before it would be okay for one person to start from ecology and end in ecology, but right now it's possible. Even if they want to do it, it's not possible. Like for me, I am a complete genetics, like a molecular biology worker, but for me, it's not possible.
No, the reason, okay,
PhD.
I'll also give a backdrop on this so people to
Uh-huh.
understand much about the question. So the reason why
Yeah.
I asked this question is because a lot of students, research students specifically, IC students, they start doing their internships from their first year. So
Hmm.
often what a student does is they do internships if they think that they're interested in ecology, they'll start doing internships only in ecology for the rest 5 years and pursue something with ecology. You suggest that's a good opportunity where you can work in a lab, start with a lab in your first year, and continue doing internship in the same lab every year? Or do you think
Mm-hmm.
work in one lab with ecology for your first year, second lab you explore something else, third lab you explore something else, and then fourth year you figure out what you really want to do? Um, I mean, both the ways there's advantage because if you start with ecology from first year, by the time you reach for fourth year or something, you'll be a master of that particular work, what you're doing, what you want to do
Yeah.
at the end of fourth year. So it'll be easy for you to do something for your fifth year. But at the same time, if you start doing internships with different, scopes of syllabus, like say ecology for first year, second year neuro, or third year genetics, so you'll have an understanding of what ecology does, how research happens in ecology, how research happens in neuro, how research happens in genetics, and you'll be able to make a decision in your fourth year whether you
Yeah.
what really interests you. So,
Yeah.
do you want them to take this chance of doing multiple things and then doing, or just focus on one thing?
I would say that I would just connect it to the ICER curriculum right now, because I would always say that ICER curriculum is really nice, the biology at least, because you are all the things. I know some, I mean, I'm not saying that I know everything of ecology, I know everything of neuroscience, but I know what's happening. I mean, if someone says to me, oh, immunology, and I'm like, oh, yeah, I know. I mean, yeah. So I think the same curriculum approach could be like extrapolated to the research approach as well, because how I know how much it has helped, because if someone says like action potential, if I go to a seminar and someone is saying that, oh, action potential, calcium, sodium, I'm not, what is that? Because I know that is because we were being taught.
That's true.
Same applies to our first 2 years also. We have been taught physics, chemistry, biology, and maths. We are not only taught biology. So I think it has only done good for me. Like only good has happened. But as a very personal thing, I was sure that I'm not going to pursue science after PhD. I want a job. I am pretty clear about that. So for me, I had a very long short term goal that I want a PhD. That was my only aim. What I did was I focused on getting all the things right so that I will land up in a PhD. Okay, it was a very calculated move. I mean,
Okay.
but for me, I just
That's
wanted
how
a
it
PhD
works.
qualification and a degree to end with. So for me, I thought like it's better for me to at least write in my CV that I know everything about yeast genetics. I know all the techniques that's being in the field.
Hmm.
So give me a position. And I applied to only labs who would want people like that.
Hmm.
So that's how I landed up. So, but I am very sure that this is not the right method. I can write it and give it to you. It is not good. But if you are really like you want to go into science, and if you're really not sure as to what you will do after PhD, like even that is okay. But I'm saying that it's always good to have different skill sets, know about different things, or you should be a voracious reader and read everything that's happening in other research. You don't have to actually do it also. That's also fine.
You can just self-study
Yeah.
about it.
Yeah, just be updated on whatever things are happening on other fields. That's also okay. But unless you don't have your thing figured out, it's always good to be open and know everything.
That's
So
true. I mean, to sum up, if you're like very certain about what you want to do at the end, like
yeah.
in life, how do you want to settle down?
Yes.
And you could possibly choose one particular area and then like
Yeah.
go ahead with it.
Yeah.
If you're not,
And
if
it's
you're,
completely okay to shift also, because I know here people who were like who did their PhD in like molecular biology and biochemistry, and right now doing their postdoc in informatics. And that person is one of the informaticians we have in our unit. Yeah, so he learned it during the PhD, and like he understood that he wants to stay in science, and in order to stay in science he needs to expand the skill set. You understand? So that's also okay. While you are trying to figure out also, you can expand your skill set. It's never late. Like you don't think,
it's never too late. Yeah.
yeah, I have lost my time. But no, it can happen. If you think that you have the ability, you can go for it. So this guy actually started learning informatic things end of PhD,
Hmm.
and thankfully he got a position, and he's one of the best we have now. And again, I'm saying that he knew he wanted to be in science, and to be relevant in the field you have to be updated, and that's why he followed. Want to be in the field, and if you want to be relevant enough, you obviously have to have different skill set. You never like and for me, like the whenever I go to seminars and all here, my prof who has always been working on yeast ask questions to people who are working on mice and neuro things, and like good questions. And then I understand that she's reading about it, even though she's not working on it. She is reading, and that's how you stay relevant in science. So I guess like if you're still trying to figure out things, then it's always better to learn new things. And I don't particularly believe in mastering and all, and I think it's an added pressure.
That's
Like,
true.
oh my god, I'm going to do informatics today and be the best at it tomorrow. That's not going to happen. I mean, it can happen if you're too good, but it's okay if it doesn't happen also. Like, don't keep that as your prime target. Yeah, I am going to like be the best at it and like kill it. It's okay if you don't, but at least if you think that you can, you're open to like learning new things. Like if you have that mind, it's good. So I think it's always better to explore new skills and areas of research.
And this is my favorite question. Are there any important inferences or messages about this whole situation that you feel is going underrepresented or unacknowledged in the public discourse?
Hmm. I think mental health as such, but I now it's a bit better.
That's true. People have
It's a bit,
started realizing.
yes, people have started because everybody started being alone and locked down and things, which I think tens of hundreds of people were already feeling. So I think there is a more sample space of people who you can talk to right now who can relate.
Hmm.
I think, but I guess I think it's mental health and the
Yeah, I
important.
mean, if I have to reframe my question,
Mm-hmm,
um, there are a lot of disadvantages that has happened because of the pandemic. What do you think
mm-hmm.
are the advantages of the pandemic?
Yeah, I think we realize the importance of working as a team. You
Okay.
realize
Yeah,
that
that's true. That's true.
not only your research.
Uh,
Yeah, because when I was stuck in my lab, I would just go to my PhD who was sitting next to it. I would ask, like, and it would like be a simple M1, V1, M2, V2 situation. But I would have that person, and that person would save me another 10 minutes and I can move faster.
Very true.
I started appreciating all of that now because after lockdown, when we went back, so I think we were under lockdown for 3 months. And then when we started, we were working in shifts. So ideally, none of us met each other also. So I used to work in the morning, and when I left, the other person used to come. So then again, I started realizing that even when I'm back to the lab, I'm not getting the full hang of it because I don't have my people around.
True.
So I realized that my project is not just my project. Like I really need my
People, yeah.
professor and my other PhDs who have nothing to do with my project as such. But like, I mean, I understood that that was not the end of lockdown because until everybody came to the lab and we have started like proper interactions, I didn't feel like we went back after lockdown. So I think teamwork was a bit under. It's not about teamwork. I think it's about like actually helping people.
Yeah, a lot of people add up to your work, and we don't realize
Yes.
it when we are together. Like,
Yeah. I think a
that's
lot of
true.
things that we take for granted, even the food,
Very true.
eating
Yeah.
food. Like, I don't know if it'll make sense because sometimes like when I used to have a lot of plates in my hand, like the culture plates, someone used to open the door for me.
Oh yeah.
And then like when I went back after lockdown during the shifts, there was nobody to open the door. And I was like, oh shit, this hurts. Like I had to actually like use my elbows and stuff. I a lot of things that we took for granted right now. And personally for me, I feel like after lockdown, everybody kind of started appreciating little things.
True. That's a
Yeah.
very good point. Yeah.
Yeah, and like even while we are presenting, or like if you're doing a presentation and if you're like suddenly stuck, they ask like, "Are you okay?" Like that sort of an understanding has come now, and it feels good. It feels better. And again, this is coming from a totally personal space.
That's
Like
true.
I'm talking about only what I felt, but still, like I think things got a bit better, like in level of understanding of how people work together. Yeah.
Those are really, I mean, that was a different look. I mean, perspective to me at least. That's
Yeah.
interesting. Uh, yeah. So I think we're done. Is there something else you want to say to my friends or your friends back
I don't
on the
know.
campus? I mean, that's all the viewers I have right now.
I don't know. I mean it's I just say that like try to figure out things. It's okay. It's everybody is going through some shit or the other. And it's okay to be it's okay to feel bad at times. It's okay to feel that you're not settled.
It's
Because
okay to be
everybody
not okay.
exactly. I mean
Yeah.
that's the most cliche thing I could say, but it's
Yeah.
the most
But yeah,
factful
that's
thing at right now. So, and I think it's, I mean, let's hope that things are going to be better. But right now, for me, I have come to terms that I'm not going to meet my parents in the near future. So, try to accept things and move on. Yeah,
yeah. So yeah, it was a delight talking to you, Sreelakshmi.
same.
Yeah. So thank you again for making my viewers understand a little bit more about the
I
entire
hope I
situation.
was helpful and I was
You
not just
are
blabbering.
definitely.
Okay.
Definitely. I really appreciate you agreeing to this thing to happen.
No worries.